What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're back with an improving the subway system video. A long time ago, I did a video on how the A division subway can be improved to be made more reliable and faster. And for today, it's time to jump into a portion of the B division. I have nothing else to say, so without further ado, let's talk. So with the B division taking up most of the subway system, I think the easiest way to go about this is to go from borough to borough. So the first borough we'll jump into is the Bronx. Now interestingly enough, the Bronx only has one subway line, with it being the Concourse Line, serving the B and D trains. There are a couple of things that could be made to improve things here. To start off, personally, I think that there should be more B trains running here on the weekdays. As we all know, the D runs on the Concourse Line all the time, but during weekday rush hours, the B goes to Bedford Park Boulevard and the D becomes express in the peak direction. I honestly think it's a waste of time to have B trains terminate at 145th Street during non-rush hours, when you know they could be a little more useful. Also, D trains normally run every 9 to 10 minutes, so it isn't really adequate at all. I think B trains should go to Bedford Park Boulevard more often. I propose having B trains alternate from turning from 145th Street and Bedford Park. So the first B would go to 145th, the next one would go to Bedford, the third one to 145th, and so on. And when rush hour hits, all of them can go to Bedford Park Boulevard when the D is express in one direction, because the D express occupies that one track at 145th Street. Now this idea may seem kind of sloppy because the B is alternating between two terminals. It could cause some confusion, but I do think it offers a nice balance. It would be pretty expensive to have B trains going to Bedford Park Boulevard all the time on weekdays. Yes, this costs money. The trains don't go there on their own. So yeah, I think this should be a cheap way to boost service on the Concourse Line. As far as subway extensions go, there are numerous ideas, such as extending the Concourse Line from 205th about 4 miles to Co-op City, or extending it by a couple of stops to White Plains Road and Gun Hill Road, where the 3rd Avenue L originally went. Personally, I like the Co-op City idea more because it brings new options for commuters in the area. The Gun Hill Road idea doesn't really seem to do much. As far as other elements of the Concourse Line goes, the Concourse Express service in the peak direction is okay in my opinion, but that's it. So with that, we are done with the Bronx. Moving on, the Central Park West Line, which connects with the Concourse Line. This line serves the A and D trains at all times, B trains on weekdays only, and C trains all times except late nights. Now of course, with the B train gone on weekends, wait times for local trains on CPW will get pretty aggressive, as on weekends, C trains tend to run every 10 minutes. Also, the Central Park West Line has the infamous express jump from 59th to 125th, so there are 7 stops that suffer from this. Now I'm not saying the B train should run here on weekends or make the D local on weekends. All of those are crazy ideas. The solution to this is as simple as running a few more C trains on weekends. But honestly, this problem isn't even that major of an issue. Most lines on weekends tend to run every 10 minutes regardless. The real issue is below the 59th Street station, which consists of the junction. Northbound A and C trains are affected by the incoming B and D trains that cross in front of them, and southbound B local and D express trains have to be squeezed onto one track to continue towards the 7th Avenue 53rd Street station. The common fix that I hear many rail fans mention is to make one branch express and the other local, meaning make the A and C both Central Park West local and the B and D Central Park West express, or vice versa. This way northbound A and C trains can smoothly enter the station. Also, southbound B and D trains can also smoothly exit. However, I already know many riders are going to oppose this change, and that's because this removes the variety that the lines had. Also, it reduces one-seat rides, which is something that riders find very valuable. I think it's best to leave the lines alone and hope CBTC can mend the issue whenever it gets activated at the station on all 4 of the lines. The 8th Avenue line. Here, the A and E runs all the time, and the C runs all times except late nights. Personally, I have no issues on the 8th Avenue line. As long as trains run frequently and quickly, we're all cool. One thing I do hate is Canal Street, where in the unfortunate event of a southbound A and C being there at the same time. It's a game of eeny meeny miny mo to figure out which train is going to leave first. Yes, I do hate this, but sadly there's nothing that can be done unless you want to make the C 8th Avenue Express, which is just a no for me. Again, I'ma just let CBTC help out with that. Now, the 8th Avenue line had a provision that was included in the IND second system, which was the Worth Street line. It would have split from the 8th Avenue line, ran on Worth Street, and then provided access to Brooklyn and the Rockaways. As much as I wanted this to happen, it sadly didn't, and the agency doesn't seem to be interested in this idea at all. I can tell because it hasn't even been mentioned once. Anyway, CBTC and brand new subway cars are coming to this line soon, so really all this line needs to do is provide fast and consistent service, which it hasn't been doing, but hopefully it will get better. Just a quick reminder, if you guys are enjoying the video so far, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Next, the 6th Avenue line. Here, the B and M train runs during weekdays only, and the F and D run all the time. Now, I do have one issue here. On weekends, 2 lines are gone, the B and the M. This makes weekends criminally aggressive, as you have to wait longer and passengers are going to be packed into trains like freaking sardines. Broadway, Lexington, 7th Avenue, and 8th Avenue all have 3 lines on weekends, and I think it's pretty unacceptable for 6th Avenue to only have 2 lines on weekends. How could this be fixed? Like I said when talking about Central Park, I don't think the B should be made to run on weekends, and on 6th Avenue, the ratio of express to local trains would be unbalanced, because B trains can't run local without messing up the F train. So what about making the M train run here on weekends? Now, to save money, it should not be able to run its full route to 71st Avenue in Queens, so the earliest station it could safely terminate without screwing up other lines is 96th Street, 2nd Avenue. Now, this almost seems like a no-brainer to send M trains here on weekends all the time, but this does cause a minor amount of interlining on the 63rd Street line with the F and Q. Also, one small thing is that it could confuse a lot of people with a small inconsistency. M trains would be running via 53rd on weekdays, and on weekends it would be running on 63rd. Also, if this were to happen in the future, after phase 3 of the 2nd Avenue Subway gets completed, there would just not be enough room for M trains, since Q and T trains would be running all the way to 125th Street. The risks outweigh the benefits with sending M trains to 96th Street, so I guess an easy and safe solution is to just run slightly more F trains. And if that's not possible, then I guess they're gonna have to go ahead with sending the M to 96, because other ideas are more risky than that one. Now, Broadway and Astoria. Broadway has the N and Q trains running all the time, R trains all times except late nights, and W trains on weekdays only. Alright, so let's just get this out of the way. The number one thing I hate about Broadway is 34th Street Herald Square, where at the north of the station, N trains have to switch to the local track. It's another eeny meeny miny mo situation, just like the A and C that I said before. A lot of rail fans think the Broadway line needs some de-interlining, and I do agree. The number one thing that I hear rail fans mention is to make the R train absorb the W and go to Astoria, because only the Broadway local tracks have access to the 60th Street tunnel. So, express trains will no longer have to switch onto local tracks. Also, because the R ate the W, the R would be running extra units to properly serve that area, because the R doesn't really run that often. Then make the N train go to Forest Hills via 63rd. The N is on the express track, so keep it on the express track, skipping 49th Street, jumping on the 63rd line, and then going Queens Boulevard local to 71st Avenue. Then at night, the N can be a shuttle from Whitehall to Coney Island, or wherever its southern terminal is, because the R needs to run the full route to serve Astoria. Now, one issue with the N is that it does have to interfere with the F on 63rd, and a small issue is that Queens Plaza will lose a train, as you can no longer go from 59th Street from Queens Plaza. You can only go to 53rd because there's no Broadway trains at Queens Plaza anymore. Honestly, this is one reason why I wish the 63rd line stopped at Queens Plaza, to give people one last chance to transfer. Also, the R train won't even have a yard. It doesn't have access to Jamaica anymore, so either there would need to be a new yard near the Astoria terminal, or the R is going to have a different southern terminal, so it could then use Coney Island Yard. But as far as de-interlining Broadway goes, I think this is the best option. And as far as the R46 cars go, they should be out of here in about 5 to 8 years, something like that. I know y'all are getting tired of them. I am too. Finally, to end off this part, we're gonna jump into Queens, where we will talk about one line, Queens Boulevard. Personally, I don't have any issues with Queens Boulevard. As soon as CPTC got implemented in late 2021 to 2022, Queens Boulevard has been running very fine. However, there could be some changes here that could fix interlining issues. I remember one viewer in my comment section mentioned that E and F trains should run via 53rd Street, and I partially agree. After the Queens Plaza station, the M local train and E express train are pushed onto one track to continue to the 53rd Street line. And yes, this is another game of eeny meeny miny mo if you are just unlucky. If the E and F are both running on 53rd, then they'll have the smooth transition in the area in both directions. Now yes, this means the M train will have to run on the 63rd Street line to get to 6th Avenue because the F is not there anymore. Now if every change that I mentioned so far in this video applies to the system, then on weekends everything would be straight. The M goes to 96th Street on weekends via the same 63rd line it uses on weekdays to get to Queens Boulevard, so there wouldn't be any confusion because the M is always going to go there on 63rd. Also on weekends, riders can easily transfer at the Lexington Avenue 63rd Street stop from the M train to the N train to go to Queens. But what about night when the M train is gone and it doesn't run in Manhattan? The 57th Street station will have no trains, and with the N being a shuttle, you will no longer be able to get to Queens Boulevard from the 63rd Street line. Sure, you could throw the F back on 63rd at night, but this creates that dumb inconsistency. Oh, the F runs via 53rd during weekdays and then 63rd at night. I don't know about you guys, but I do not like inconsistencies like that. So an easy yet expensive fix is to just throw the M back on there. I'm just going to remove the M from the 2nd Avenue line and make it run full time to Forest Hills. There are other issues besides the price. 1. Riders at Roosevelt Island and along the 63rd Street line won't have access to any express trains. 2. The 53rd line and Queens Plaza won't have local trains. Honestly, the 63rd line is just a fat L for not stopping at Queens Plaza. Such a shame. It would have been nice for riders to be able to transfer between local and express trains. But that's just how it is. But that's it for this video. Give a thumbs up for part 3 and I'll cover the rest of the B division in Brooklyn and Queens. Let me know your thoughts on what improvements should be made to the B division subway, and let me know if you agree or disagree with what I mentioned. If you enjoyed your time, please leave a like and consider subscribing. Check out my Discord and Instagram. The link should be on screen somewhere right now. But that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and see you next month for the next video.